Imagine sitting at your kitchen table, just staring at 3 different quotes to replace the exact same dead air conditioner.
Oh, that is a stressful place to be.
Right, it is. So let's set the scene. It's May 2026. Your 18-year-old unit just sputtered and completely died. And the numbers sitting in front of you they make absolutely no sense.
They never do at first glance.
Exactly. Like one contractor wants $7,200 for a Goodman system, and we're going to reuse your old ducts. Another quote sits right in the middle at around $9,500, and the third contractor wants a staggering $13,800 for a train system with totally new ductwork.
A massive spread.
Yeah. Why on earth is there a $5,000 spread for what seems like the exact same metal box? So today, we're doing a deep dive into the hidden mechanics of replacing an air conditioner.
Which is so needed because that massive price gap, that's the exact moment most homeowners realize they have completely, misunderstood what they are actually buying.
Yeah.
People tend to treat an air conditioner like it's a refrigerator or a microwave.
Right, like an appliance.
Exactly. You assume it's this finished product that you just buy and plug into the wall, but it isn't. You are actually purchasing a complex integrated system. The metal box sitting in your side yard is it's just one component of a custom manufacturing job taking place inside your home.
Okay, let's unpack this, because our mission today is to decode the 2026 AC replacement market, and we're using a fantastic source for this. It's the Air Conditioner Replacement Cost 2026 Full Price Guide from the Service Agent AI blog.
Great guide. Lots of good data in there.
Yeah, so we need to figure out the hidden cost drivers behind these wild quotes, understand the actual, physics of what we're paying for, and ultimately, and this is the best part, build a playbook so you can save 15 to 25% on this massive expense.
And just to set our baseline here, the typical cost range for replacing a central AC system right now in 2026 is anywhere from $5,500 on the absolute low end all the way up to $14,000 or more.
Wow.
But the vast majority of homeowners are going to land in a specific middle ground, typically spending between $7,500 and $10,500.
Right, okay.
So when we look at that average, the immediate question becomes, what pushes a quote to the extreme high or low ends of that spectrum?
Right, because if I'm looking at a $7,200 quote and a $13,800 quote, there has to be a real mechanical reason for the difference. And the source points to 6 specific, often invisible cost drivers. Let's break these down, starting with the one that dictates the raw power of the unit, which is system size and the SEER rating. Because, if I'm paying all this money, and the labor to install it is the same either way, my instinct is to just buy the biggest unit possible.
Oh, absolutely.
Just give me the 5-ton beast so it cools my house down in 3 minutes flat.
What's fascinating here is that buying the biggest unit is actually one of the most destructive things you can do for both your home's comfort and your wallet.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's a massive misconception that bigger equals better in HVAC. If you install an oversized AC, it does exactly what you just said. It cools the ambient air in the house in just a few minutes.
Which sounds great.
It sounds great, but that causes the system to what we call short cycle.
Okay.
It blasts this freezing air, hits the thermostat target rapidly, shuts off, and then turns right back on a few minutes later when the house inevitably warms up again.
So it's like driving a car in stop-and-go traffic by just slamming on the gas pedal and then immediately slamming on the brakes?
Yes.
You're going to destroy the transmission.
Precisely. The compressor takes a massive surge of electricity every time it starts up. So short cycling wears out those mechanical components exponentially faster. It just ruins the lifespan of your investment.
Oh, wow.
But the physics of it get even worse. Air conditioners don't just cool the air, they condition it by removing humidity. And it takes a continuous cycle of passing air over cold coils to actually extract that moisture. If your system runs for only 5 minutes at a time, your house will hit 70 degrees, sure, but it will feel clammy.
Like a damp cave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Damp and incredibly uncomfortable.
That makes perfect sense. And on the flip side, I assume an undersized unit just runs continuously, right? Like it's burning out the motor because it can never quite reach the target temperature on a hot day.
Exactly. It just runs and runs until it dies.
So it sounds like buying off the rack versus getting a custom-tailored suit. Just, guessing the square footage is like buying a 3XL t-shirt and hoping it fits.
Yeah.
So how do you actually measure the house to get it right?
You perform what's called a manual J-load calculation.
Manual J.
Right. A skilled contractor will evaluate the whole thermal envelope of your home. They measure the insulation thickness, the type and direction of your windows, the regional climate, and even the heat generated by your appliances.
That is detailed.
It is. They calculate the precise mathematical cooling load. So if a contractor just looks at the badge on your old dead unit and says, oh yeah, we'll just swap it for the same size,
That's bad.
that is an immediate red flag. Run away.
All right, so size is purely about calculating the physics of the house. What about SEER? S-E-E-R. I know it stands for Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio, and I think of it as basically the miles per gallon for an air conditioner.
That's a great way to think about it.
But how does that actually factor into the upfront cost?
Well, SEER measures cooling output divided by the total electrical energy input. The higher the number, the more efficiently the machine transfers heat out of your home.
Okay.
In 2026, the federal minimum is 14 in northern states and 15 in the south. And every point you go up, say, from a 14 to a 15 or a 16 to a 17, that adds about $200 to $500 to the upfront price tag.
Okay, so it gets pricey.
It does. But the trade-off is that it lowers your operating costs by 5 to 8% per point.
Okay, so a chunk of the variance in my 3 quotes is definitely coming from the tonnage and the SEER rating. But, I mean, that can't account for a $5,000 gap on its own.
No, definitely not.
The source mentions hidden hardware as the next major driver, specifically the ductwork, the line sets, and the electrical panel.
And this is exactly where the cheap quotes usually hide their secrets. Let's look at ductwork, for example. If you attach a massive, high-efficiency blower to narrow, leaky, or degraded ductwork, it's like trying to run a marathon while breathing through a cocktail straw.
Oh, this sounds awful.
Right. The system just chokes on its own static pressure. Replacing or repairing bad ducts can easily add $1,500 to $5,000 to a project.
So the $7,200 quote I'm holding is probably the guy planning to just slap a new box onto my 18-year-old leaky ducts.
Almost certainly.
And the $13,800 quote might be the only one actually addressing the cocktail straw problem.
Exactly. And the same goes for the line set. That's the copper tubing that carries the refrigerant between the indoor and outdoor units.
Okay.
Old copper can be contaminated, or it might be improperly sized for modern refrigerants. Upgrading those lines, along with making sure your electrical breaker panel can safely handle the new load, all of that can add anywhere from $300 to $4,000.
Wow. So far we have the unit itself and the infrastructure of the house. The final 2 cost drivers, the source outlines, are regional labor rates and warranties. And honestly, it's surprising to read that installation labor accounts for 25 to 45% of the total project cost.
It sounds high, but it becomes less surprising when you realize what the job actually entails.
Fair enough.
This isn't a delivery guy dropping off a dishwasher. These technicians are handling high-voltage electricity, they're brazing copper pipes with torches, and dealing with highly pressurized, environmentally regulated chemical refrigerants.
It's serious stuff.
It is a highly skilled trade. Because of that, a crew in a high cost of living area like New York City or San Francisco is going to cost 20 to 35% more than a crew in the rural Midwest for the exact same physical equipment.
That perfectly sets up the next major question. We've established how the system integrates with the house and why the labor is so expensive. Let's look closely at the actual metal box sitting in the yard.
Let's do it.
Because the brand names carry a lot of weight, right? When I look at quotes, it is incredibly easy to get seduced by premium branding. Trane, Lennox, Carrier. The names just sound robust and reliable.
They do, yeah. Marketing works.
It really does. But does the badge on the side of the unit actually dictate the quality of the machinery inside?
To answer that, we have to kind of pull back the curtain on the HVAC manufacturing industry. The market is essentially an oligopoly. It's dominated by a few massive parent companies, and it's segmented into 3 distinct tiers.
Okay.
You have your premium tier, which includes Carrier, Trane, and Lennox. Then your mid-tier, which features brands like Rheem, American Standard, and Bryant. And finally, you have your value tier, which is dominated by names like Goodman and Hale.
And what kind of price premium are we talking about for that top tier?
Premium brands easily command a 15 to 30% markup over value brands for a unit with the exact same tonnage and SEER rating.
So you're essentially paying a 30% premium. But is it actually worth it? Like, am I getting aerospace-grade materials in a Carrier that I'm not getting in a Goodman, or am I literally just paying for the marketing department's budget?
You are largely paying for the badge, and this is the industry's biggest open secret.
Really?
Yeah. The vast majority of these systems are what we call sister brands. For example, American Standard, which is a mid-tier brand, is manufactured by the exact same parent company as Trane.
No way.
Yep. Bryant is a sister brand to Carrier.
Yeah.
If you open up a value tier unit and a premium tier unit from the same parent company, you will very often find them utilizing the exact same internal components.
Are you serious?
The exact same Copeland compressors,
Oh, yeah.
the same fan motors rolling off the exact same assembly lines.
That is wild. So wait, the guts of the machine, the parts actually doing the hard mechanical work of cooling my house,
Yeah.
they might be completely identical between the $8,000 quote and the $10,000 quote.
Very often, yes. Now, the premium tier might offer slightly more advanced proprietary communication boards at the ultra-high efficiencies, or maybe slightly better acoustic dampening for the fan.
So it's a bit quieter.
Right. But the core thermodynamic technology is the same. Which brings us to the absolute golden rule of the HVAC industry.
Which is?
Install quality matters exponentially more than the brand name.
Okay, how so? I mean, if the parts are the same, shouldn't they perform the same?
Not necessarily, because of the chemistry and physics involved in the actual installation process.
Okay.
When a technician installs an AC, they have to braze the copper line shut and then use a specialized pump to pull a deep vacuum on the system.
To get the air out.
Exactly. Removing all ambient air and moisture before releasing the refrigerant. If a rush technician skips this step and leaves even a tiny amount of moisture in the lines, that water mixes with the refrigerant oil to create a highly corrosive acid.
That sounds bad.
It is. That acid will slowly eat the compressor from the inside out over a few years.
Yikes. So a premium Lennox unit installed by a sloppy contractor will literally destroy itself from the inside, like performing far worse and dying sooner than a budget Goodman unit installed by a meticulous professional.
Exactly. You should always prioritize the reputation, the warranty, and the technical skill of the local contractor over the prestige of the brand stamped on the metal box.
That completely flips the script on how to shop for one of these things. Okay, but if we are already ripping out old hardware, checking our static pressure, and paying a premium for efficiency, maybe we shouldn't be installing a traditional central air conditioner at all.
Now we are getting into the real plot twist of the 2026 market landscape.
Yeah, because the source points out that if your AC is dying, it is the perfect time to look at a modern heat pump.
Yes.
Now, I have to admit, when I hear the phrase heat pump, my mind immediately goes to those noisy, kind of weak wall units in cheap motels from the 1990s.
Oh, the ones that just rattle all night.
Yes, and they would just blow lukewarm air if the temperature outside dropped below freezing.
We have to completely eradicate that mental image.
Okay.
The technology has evolved light years beyond those old units, and to understand why, you have to understand how a heat pump actually works.
Right.
A traditional gas furnace creates heat by burning fossil fuels. A heat pump doesn't create heat at all, it simply moves it. It acts like a thermal sponge.
A thermal spud.
Exactly.
No.
In the summer, it absorbs heat from inside your house and pumps it outside, just like a normal AC. But in the winter, a reversing valve switches the flow. It absorbs ambient heat from the outside air and pumps it into your house.
Wait. How does a machine pull heat out of negative 10-degree air? If it's freezing outside, there is no heat to pump. Like, that sounds physically impossible.
It feels impossible to humans because, well, we freeze at 32 degrees.
Golly.
But in physics, absolute zero is negative 460 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, wow.
So even at negative 10 degrees, there is still an abundance of thermal energy in the air. Modern refrigerants like R410A or the newer R454B have incredibly low boiling points. They can absorb thermal energy and turn into a gas, even in sub-zero temperatures. The compressor then squeezes that gas, which radically increases its temperature. And that concentrated heat is what blows through your vents.
That is amazing.
It is. The cold climate heat pumps we have in 2026 can extract heat efficiently down to negative 10 degrees or lower without needing a gas backup.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because not only does the technology actually work in cold climates now, but the government is essentially creating a massive artificial price floor to push people away from fossil fuels.
Very much so.
And just to be clear, we are purely looking at the economics here, not taking any political sides on the Inflation Reduction Act or anything. We're just reporting what the source lays out. And they are basically saying the government is practically begging homeowners to ditch their gas furnaces and adopt this all-electric technology. Let's break down the free money.
The financial incentives right now are genuinely historic. Under the Inflation Reduction Act, there is the 25C tax credit. If you install a highly efficient traditional central AC, the federal government offers a tax credit capped at $600. But if you install a qualifying heat pump, that federal tax credit jumps up to $2,000.
And a tax credit is a dollar-for-dollar reduction on what you owe the IRS. It's not just a deduction from your income. But that's just the tax side, right? There are point-of-sale rebates, too.
Yes, the HEHRA program, HEEHRA, which stands for Home Energy Electrification and Appliance Rebates.
Got it.
This is designed for low and moderate income households. Depending on your income bracket compared to your area's median income, you can qualify for up to an $8,000 upfront rebate on a heat pump installation.
$8,000 upfront.
Upfront. Plus, many state and local utility companies offer their own rebates on top of that, which can stack to add another $500 to $5,000 in savings.
Let's do the math on this, because this completely changes the financial calculus of the quotes we were looking at earlier.
It really does. Let's say you have an aging AC and a 15-year-old gas furnace. Replacing both of those traditional systems is going to cost between $10,000 and $16,000.
Okay.
A new heat pump system, which completely replaces both the AC and the furnace with a single unit, costs between $11,000 and $18,000 upfront.
So the initial sticker price is slightly higher.
Before credits, yes. But after you apply that $2,000 federal tax credit and potential state or utility rebates, that heat pump installation drops down to between $8,000 and $14,000.
So the subsidized, greener technology actually undercuts the legacy hardware. It becomes cheaper to install a state-of-the-art heat pump than to replace your standard AC and furnace.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the economics are undeniable. You're replacing two aging systems with one highly efficient electric system. You simplify your annual maintenance because there's no gas burner to inspect.
Oh, that's true.
You remove the carbon monoxide risk from your home entirely. And depending on local utility rates, you often lower your monthly energy bills.
Okay, so armed with all of this, the sizing mechanics, the illusion of brand names, and the heat pump loopholes, we need to turn this into a battle plan.
Let's do it.
If a listener's AC dies tomorrow, how do they navigate this market without getting taken to the cleaners? The source outlines a 25% savings playbook.
Which is huge.
Huge. And if I'm trying to find the true market price, my first move has to be gathering data. I can't just call the first guy on Google.
Definitely not. The very first strategy is to get exactly 3 quotes. Not 1, not 5, 3.
Why 3?
Because the variance between contractors can easily be 20 to 50% for the exact same equipment, based purely on their overhead and how busy they are. 3 quotes anchor you to the real mathematical market price in your specific zip code.
And I'm guessing timing plays a massive role in how much leverage the homeowner has. Like if my AC dies in the middle of a July heat wave, I have zero negotiating power.
Exactly. Which leads to strategy 2, scheduling in the shoulder season.
Shoulder season.
Yeah, the HVAC industry is intensely seasonal. If you can nurse a dying system along until September or October when it's 65 degrees outside, or maybe catch it in April before the summer rush contractors are looking for work to keep their crews busy.
So they're more willing to deal.
Absolutely. You can easily negotiate 10 to 20% off simply because you're booking an install when their supply of labor outstrips demand.
That makes total sense. Strategy 3 is pretty obvious based on our last segment. Ruthlessly claim every single tax credit and rebate available. Stack the federal, the state, the utility, and the manufacturer rebates.
Always. Leave no money on the table.
But strategy 4 is where I kind of want to push back.
Okay.
It says to choose the right size SEER. But if I'm getting government money and I want to slash my monthly utility bill, why wouldn't I just buy a 22 SEER system? Like, if higher efficiency is better, shouldn't the highest efficiency be the best investment?
It's a logical assumption, but it comes down to the brutal physics of diminishing returns.
Look at.
Yes, a 22 SEER is an engineering marvel, but it carries a massive upfront price premium. For the vast majority of U.S. homeowners, a 16 or 17 SEER system is the absolute economic sweet spot.
Why is that?
Because moving from an old 10 SEER unit up to a 16 SEER yields huge energy savings. But moving from a 16 SEER to a 22 SEER yields significantly smaller incremental savings while the equipment costs thousands more.
So it's like you're paying for a Ferrari to drive in the school zone. You'll never recoup the investment.
Precisely. Unless you live in a scorching year-round climate like southern Texas or Florida, and you plan on living in that exact same house for 15 or 20 more years, the ultra-high SEER systems simply do not pay for themselves in monthly energy savings.
That is a phenomenal reality check. Strategy 5 ties right back into our brand discussion from earlier. Consider the value tier brands, your Goodmans, your Hale units, but ensure you are pairing them with a top-tier, highly vetted installer.
Yes. Spend your budget on the technician who pulls a flawless vacuum on the refrigerant lines, not on the logo on the outdoor cabinet.
Love that. And the final piece of the playbook, strategy 6, is protecting yourself at the finish line. Skip the unnecessary upsells.
Oh, they love the upsells.
Right. Contractors will often try to pad their margins with UV light air purifiers, ultra-premium smart thermostats, or excessive zoning systems. Carefully evaluate if you actually need these add-ons.
Yeah, because most of the time they add significant cost without fundamentally altering your daily comfort.
So what does this all mean? If we synthesize everything from the Service Agent AI guide into the ultimate 2026 survival strategy for you, the homeowner, here is your game plan.
Let's hear it.
You are aiming for a realistic budget between $7,500 and $11,000. You are absolutely demanding that your contractor perform a mathematical manual J calculation to size the unit correctly, rather than just guessing.
No 3XL t-shirts.
Right, no guessing. You are getting exactly 3 quotes, ideally leveraging the shoulder seasons of spring or fall. You are aiming for a 16 or 17 S-tier system, leaning toward mid or value tier brands with stellar installers. And most importantly, you are taking a very serious look at replacing the whole setup with a heat pump to capture those massive federal incentives.
If you stick to that framework, you completely insulate yourself from the worst market markups and secure a reliable, comfortable home. But, stepping back from the immediate economics of just a single household, this raises an important question. The government is currently subsidizing millions of homeowners to transition from dual fuel systems, where they use an electric AC in the summer and burn natural gas in the winter, to all-electric heat pumps.
Right. We are shifting the entire heating burden of American homes away from gas lines and directly onto the electrical grid.
Exactly. And what does this mean for our collective reliance on that grid, especially during extreme winter weather?
That's a good point.
As millions of gas furnaces are replaced by heat pumps, our peak electrical demand is going to shift dramatically from hot summer afternoons to freezing winter nights.
Wow.
When you pull the trigger on that heat pump quote, you aren't just changing a metal box in your backyard to save on your utility bill. You are fundamentally shifting your home's energy infrastructure and participating in a massive nationwide transition toward total electrification. The ripple effects on our national energy grid over the next decade will be profound.
It is wild to think that a sweaty afternoon trying to decode 3 frustrating quotes from local contractors connects directly to the future of the national power grid.
It really does all connect.
So the next time you find yourself at the kitchen table staring at a $7,200 quote and a $13,800 quote, remember what is actually happening. You aren't just buying cold air. You are buying a custom high-voltage manufacturing installation. You're buying thermodynamic efficiency. And now you have the mechanical knowledge and the financial playbook to buy it exactly right. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of HVAC replacement. Stay cool and stay curious.